guys, let's get started. Brent Abel here, Web Tennis Players Workshop, and glad that you're with me today on another live webcast. And today we've got a special guest with us, Jeff Greenwald, and the title to today's webcast is "When That Lightning Bolt of Paralyzing Tension Hits You During a Match: How to go from tight to loose." And we all get this. We all get this from time to time. And I think I admitted to you in an email yesterday that I used to get it a lot. I've been able to kind of work my way through those times now, but yet still not immune to it. I'm sure that I never will be. And so we're going to talk to Jeff here in just a second about the mistakes we make and what we can do to overcome that. And if you're on Twitter and you hear something or you see something during today's webcast that you like, let your tweets know out there. Broadcast it using the hashtag WebTennis. Would certainly appreciate that. And I want to give Jeff a little formal introduction here. Jeff, as you may know, as a former world-ranked tennis player, was ranked number one in the United States in both singles and doubles, and also number one on the planet by the ITF in the men's 35 age division a while ago. Jeff is a licensed therapist, sports psychology consultant, and coach, and author of Fearless Tennis and The Best Tennis of Your Life. Both are best-selling books on Amazon on the mental game of tennis. And Jeff, hey man, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us today.
I'm happy to be here with all of you and Brent. Looking forward to it.
We've had over 250 folks, tennis players, sign up, get registered for today's webcast, Jeff. So, I know that the topic that you're going to help us with is really kind of near and dear to everybody. And, really, how do we go from that tight feeling that we get in matches sometimes, and we've been playing well, and now all of a sudden, maybe we've won the first set, maybe it's the end of the first set, whatever it is, that nice, loose, comfortable, confident, kind of loose feeling goes to really, really tight. Jeff, tell us a little bit, about your philosophy on this whole scenario. And I know that you've got three mistakes that we generally make, and then we're to talk about, those things that we can do to really kind of overcome that in a match.
Yeah, well, let me, obviously this topic I think hits home for everybody, including me. This has been a hard-earned, battle that I feel like I've won in many respects, but it's come hard, and I know that it's just a moment, where the rubber meets the road. We can train and do all we do and get ready for our matches and feel like we have a plan, and then, depending on who we're playing and how we're playing, and we can have that moment of anxiety, tension. Sometimes can feel like a lightning bolt, and I've been there. And it's really, to me, what I've come to is how do we handle that moment? What's our relationship with that feeling, if you will? I mean, do we become victimized by it? Do we hold back because of it? Do we get angry that we're feeling it and therefore we might lose and it might all fall apart? Particularly, of course, when we're leading matches, and how that moment, which is always pretty interesting, how the brain likes to jump ahead and all that. So, there are a ton of moments where this can hit, the lead feet and the tight arm and then the anxiety and fear about missing. What I'd say about my philosophy about this is that I think ultimately what we want to try to get to is a state change, to be able to shift our state physically as well as mentally, but certainly we need to loosen up a bit in the moment. The first mistake that I really feel like a lot of players make here is there's sort of this natural tendency to say, oh crap, right? How many of you all have that instant reaction of, oh God, not now. This is, here it is, it's familiar, and your heart's beating, your arm tightens up. And so I think that first reaction, while very, very subtle at times, and can fly under the radar, is truly the most important moment, philosophically. I mean, do you accept what's happening in the moment? It is what it is. Or are you wanting to get rid of it, trying to cover it up, hoping nobody sees it, hoping you don't look bad because now you're tight and you're going to maybe play it safe? So bottom line is, the first mistake, and the thing I like to have players understand is, it's the ultimate moment and challenge of acceptance. It is what it is. You feel it. And so we can now get to at least the question, now what? And I know we'll be talking about now what, but that's the first thing is, okay. And then we'll talk about, the technique of taking a deep breath and centering your mind into your body, not telling yourself to relax. But anyway, we'll get there, I'm sure. So,
Jeff, let me ask you a quick question here about mistake number one, which is oh crap. And I think for me, and I think for a lot of other I think for a lot of other players, when this thing hits, is that it's potentially a disaster in terms of, you kind of say to yourself, as you did here, oh crap, and now it kind of starts nurturing itself as an excuse somewhere down the road in case you lose.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, it can be that, you can certainly say I got tight, although nobody wants to say they got tight. And I think even when we win, and I talk about this in Fearless Tennis, of course, a lot, is even when we win, and playing tentatively and playing fearfully, is a terrible feeling. I mean, the truth is, we got to get to a place where you're, and this is much easier said than done, I recognize it, but, I'd rather miss, but play the right way for me.
Right.
I'd rather play, and that we'll get there more hopefully in a bit, but there is that reality. So we get tight, but can we choose a different path? Can we have choice even though our body has been hijacked, basically? Okay. So your question, you kind of bring up the idea of excuse. I mean, frankly, I feel like, well, that's, a reality, really deeply discouraged at backing down from playing the way they want to play. And I think that's the part that's really most distressing from my perspective.
Okay. All right. Mistake number two.
Mistake number two, I mean, I think this is where, so there's this tendency to sort of not accept it, want to cover it up, which creates more problems. But if we're now into acceptance, it is what it is. I feel what I feel. There's a little bit of a smile internally, even sort of like, okay, I knew you'd be knocking. It's 4-all in the third here, and so at least there's this moment, and there is a center breath that you can use. And I'm happy to go through that more specifically if you like in a bit. But mistake two would be sort of telling yourself to relax in that situation, to sort of recognize you're tight and sort of command yourself to relax, which never works because the mind can't, the command like that doesn't work. It really needs to be a physical getting in your body in the moment. So that's a mistake. To really tell yourself to relax is not effective. I'll say that the related mistake is that we play tentatively. So I want to really highlight this, that the reaction to the nerves of playing tentatively, backing off the ball, out of fear rather than tactic. If it makes sense to be more conservative and keep the ball in play and move it around a little bit, I think that's very valid. But I don't want players to shift their tactic out of fear because I feel like that's a vicious cycle. So the playing tentative, what I'm suggesting is that's an avoidant tactic. You're not accepting the reality. You're not fighting back to the tension in your body. And you're now playing a game style that makes you want to, break a lamp at home maybe or something.
Okay.
Not that I did that when I was young, right? No. If any of my coaches are on now, I'm sure you remember a few moments. But, I've learned the hard way. But, I think we need to find a way, and we'll get to this in a moment, but visualizing and acting in the way we want to feel.
Right. Okay.
So tentative play, no-go. That's a no-go in my book.
Right.
Rod Laver talked about taking that when he felt tight, the next shot he'd rip. He'd just take a good cut at it, win or lose, make it or miss it. And I have had that experience a lot. One match in Germany, I remember, where I was down a set in 5-2 or something like that, and I was chipping the return, and I was feeling tight. I did not want to miss. I did not want to give away a free point. That was probably one of my biggest struggles. I didn't like to give away a free point like that, but I was losing. I figured I better step in here. And of course, it was nice that I made the next two and I hit two winners, and that helps because that'll help you kind of stay on the track. But I think it's good to take a good cut at the ball too and trick your brain to let your brain know who's in charge.
That's a good one, Jeff. I like that. All right. What's mistake number 3 that we typically make in this situation?
So the third thing I think that really is more of a I'm going to bring up the idea of training this, because I really I want us all to walk away having a bit of a path or a way to make this state familiar. I mean, if we want to go from tight to loose, okay, if we're tight and we want to play at least loose enough to execute our plan, our game plan, and hit the ball down the line, or step in and hit a good return deep, or whatever it is, instead of backing off, we really do need to become more familiar with what loose feels like. I mean, if we expect it to just happen, or hope the nerves go away, sometimes they do if we win a few points and our opponent gives it to us a bit. But I really feel like it's critical for people to practice what it feels like and become more aware of what it feels like to be loose. So when you're playing in practice, to actually, hit the ball, take 10 minutes or so and rally and hit the ball at an 8 in terms of, on a scale 1 to 10, let's use a scale. 8, 9, 10, that's pretty tight. 7, 8, 9, 10 is tight. You're pushing, you're forcing it, you're muscling the ball. But, you go from a 3, 4, 5, 6, certainly 3, 4 loose. That's a pretty good feeling. And I think that's where we need to get to in the, between 3 and 5. It's all relative, it's subjective. But to be able to feel what that feeling is like, so you can literally drop into it out of memory when you're out there, and kind of, you can take a deep breath, shrug your shoulders, drop it, and sort of recall that feeling that you've sort of practiced with some returns or some points you played, you exaggerated it, how you felt when you hit the ball in terms of being loose. So you have this range that you can sort of, it's like a dial. Think of it as a dial. And you have a little more sensitivity, of ability to increase the dial or decrease. In this case, you want to probably, of course, decrease the dial on the looseness and drop it a little bit. So this is a training. This is the breathing that I'm talking about, and we can follow up here in a moment on that. But I think it needs to be trained off the court a bit. You don't have to meditate every day, but you can certainly take some good deep breaths and do some tense release to have that accessible on the court.
I agree. I think you really need to find ways in practice to identify the kind of feelings, emotions, try to make it tangible so that you practice it enough, you get in touch with it, and when you go out in the match, it's much easier to go back to a practice session. Well, I remember what that felt like, and here's what I wanna bring up. I think there's no question. I mean, Jeff, one of the things I teach a lot is a between points routine, and for me, when I play matches, it's very specific, and yet as much as I've used it in matches, and as often as I've used it, I still have to practice that 4-part routine between points, or else it just doesn't feel natural. So I totally agree that mistake number 3, to me, is really one of the most important ones, is that you have to practice this thing. And, it's not as sexy as going out and working on, your big rip topspin forehand off the ball machine or something like this. But you definitely have to find ways to practice it. So I'm really pleased.
Right. Yeah, and I was just going to say, when you're hitting on a ball machine, I mean, or hitting with somebody, I really do think, if you're more tuned into your body and have an internal focus on how you're hitting the ball, how it feels when you're hitting the ball, namely your shoulder and upper body, as you make contact, really your contact point, and you're feeling, you're on this scale a bit, and you're kind of playing with it and exaggerating. What does a 2 and a 3 feel like? And then go up the scale. You can really groove this and become more internally aware of how to let go of the tension. Because I feel like what bothers me so much is that, and why I've created Fearless Tennis and all this stuff, is because I feel like we get hijacked. And, in one match that I played at UCLA, and, against this guy, number 1 in the country at the time, I was up a set in 4-1, and I completely panicked. And that was I just had no tools. I had no way to take this high arousal, heartbeat, tense, and I was completely dictated to. And I just want people to have tools in a way to drop into something, drop into the body, get some perspective in the moment. I think, sometimes looking around at trees and even, kind of having a moment of like, hey, this is just tennis, and the brain can make you think that you're going to be homeless, and but really, we're strong. We'll get over it. It's not, we don't like to lose. I definitely get that as much as anybody. But I think if folks can adopt and really truly adopt the passion for playing your game, hitting the shots you want to hit, whether it's 4-all deuce and your body says absolutely not, and it wants to even brace at the very last second, kind of fighting back to that too, and committing to that shot, visualizing that shot. And I'm getting very specific here because I think it's important. There you are, break point, 4-all, third set, let's say, that you've taken your center breath, you're accepting the moment, you are picturing and imagining that shot that you like to hit, that return where you step in, feel what that's like in your mind even. You can actually visualize the feeling a bit, and keep your focus on the ball, really focused externally, not in your head anymore, not in your body, but your focus is now outside of yourself. It's on the ball. But I think we got to get out of ourselves. So we breathe to be aware of the tension, but then we got to picture it, what we want, and then we got to get ready to execute and focus externally. We got to get out of ourselves at that point too. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense, and it's clearly one of the toughest things that we have to do in competitive sports, but especially in tennis, where we've got an opponent who it's really like a boxing match. We've got someone in front of us, and so there's intimidation. There's a whole lot of psychological things going on, and what I want to hear from you, Jeff, is now. Let's assume that we've practiced how we want to handle this situation. And one of the things that I do, excuse me, is I will visualize. I want to visualize some positive stuff in upcoming matches. But the other thing is I also want to visualize how am I going to handle some, what you might call negative situations where, excuse me, where, you've got an opponent who all of a sudden on that day is just red hot. And he or she has just gone for the last 10 or 15 minutes, literally can't miss a ball. And I want to prepare for that situation where I've had some pre-match visualization that how am I going to react to it? How am I going to handle that? So as you say, you don't panic, and you end up having something tangible that you can go to. Give us a couple of tips here, Jeff, on this. What to do instead. That assuming that we've now embraced, we got to practice this stuff. How do we handle the yo crap? How do we handle the relax? Dang it, forcing it. What do we do in that situation?
Well, let me say first to respond to your point about your opponent's hot and they're playing really well, and that certainly I guess could bring up anxiety for some in terms of it doesn't look like I'm going to win this one, and I find that I get tighter when I have a real opportunity and I'm in the driver's seat maybe, and it's a big match and I'm up and all that. That sometimes can be hard for me, and everybody a little different like that. I think there's some universal themes certainly here about having a lead, but I want to first say that I think it's important to not focus on your opponent. I think that is a very common mistake, to get too immersed in what our opponents look like, what they're doing. If they're looking like they're, I have some junior players who say, oh, they don't feel respected by their opponent, or too caught up in their game plan. I really believe that if we're more focused on what we need to do and play our game the way we've envisioned it, like you suggested, visualizing how we want to play, what shots we want to hit. So at crunch time, we have one or two or three good visuals with even perhaps a feeling associated with it of what shot we want to hit. That backhand return, fluid backhand return stepping in. And that's the shot you want to hit, and you exaggerate that image in your mind when you're there. That ball, you just exaggerate that feeling and you stick to it and you stay down while your body wants to brace and you want to protect and don't want to make the mistake. Because the instinct is if you're tight, you're likely going to make a mistake, right? I mean, there's the feeling, right, of I'm tight, I better just get it back. So I'm saying stick to those visuals, stick to the shots you like, and exaggerate that feeling. So to answer the second part, is take a deep breath, center yourself. That's a deep abdominal breath, not a chest breath like you're, scared of, something just coming around the corner, but just a nice, good, deep breath. It's like a 2 to 3 seconds in, 2 to 3 seconds out. You do it longer off the court to train it, but on the court it's a 2-2, 3-3. It's just a good deep breath, centering your mind. I have an ebook which we're going to offer folks in a bit, but as well, you can read more about that. But so there's the center breath, there's the there's that visual of how you want to play, and there's a letting go there, an exaggeration of the specific shot you've selected. I will say, I say this is a fight for a while because everything in your being is going to want to back off, and I think it's important to commit to that shot and exaggerate that feeling because your body's going to want to. While you kind of think you're relaxing, you're probably still not quite there. So.
Okay, I think that's good. I mean, I think that is really what we're looking for is, number one, identifying, what that sensation is of being tight. I mean, that sounds kind of dumb. I mean, I think maybe we all, know when we get tight. But I think too often kind of let it go and we let it fester, rather than being more proactive, as you're suggesting, Jeff, which is to recognize it and then just immediately just go to that, exaggerating whatever positive visuals you have of your own game, and just keep working that. So I think that's really good advice. And what I want to do right now, everybody, is if you've got a question for Jeff, there are two ways to go ahead and ask the question. Number one is you can raise your hand. You can click the hand icon on your GoToWebinar control panel, and you can ask Jeff in your own voice a question, assuming that we've got your audio set up properly. The other way is go ahead and type a question for Jeff into your questions dialog text box there on your GoToWebinar control panel, and we can and then what I can do is go ahead and ask Jeff from there. Jeff, here's something from Joe that I like and that I do a lot. He says when he gets tight and he can recognize it, what he does is he goes to a favorite song, and he just hums the song to himself between points, and that kind of helps him, I think, is maybe what you said before, is kind of get out of himself in terms of that, specific situation. What's your feedback on that?
I really like that. I have some of the folks I work with that have a lyric. I instruct them, if they're really analytical people and they're big thinkers, I have them choose a lyric that they like, that's inspirational, that won't have them be thinking about technique and so forth. So that using a lyric is very good, a song, to get you basically onto something else. And so it gives you a bit of a break from the intensity of the moment, etc. So I really like it. I at times would picture Agassi just as sort of another trick, because we're all different as well. I would picture how Agassi would return, and I would embody that. That's just another thing I did. It came up to me when you mentioned that. But a lyric and a song humming is very good, because some people are overthinking, and we do not want to do that.
Here's a great question from Ken, and he's talking about doubles, and this happens all the time, Jeff, where you've got a partner who's either not playing well on that particular day, or is going through a bad stretch, or has just blown an easy put away at a huge point in the match. And what advice can you give us to help our partners calm down and relax when they start to get tight?
When the partner well, hopefully they're on the webinar. I don't know, but okay. or at least they'll maybe listen to the recording. But I think as a doubles team, I think it's good to share secrets or ideas, strategies that work, and so forth. I mean, again, everybody gets tight from time to time, so of course you need to be careful, because it's not too nice. Some people don't like to hear, hey, you need you need to do some deep breathing. They probably wouldn't appreciate that. But I think that exposing your partner to some of this, if they don't have any sort of insight to the mental game or understand its impact, if they're avoidant of it completely, that's not, I don't know, that says something. But I think in the moment, it's, if you can model calmness and be calm yourself, accept that error. I know it's really hard when your partner misses a shot on a big point. It can be terribly disappointing in the moment, and that's sort of your own self-management of taking a deep breath and accepting it, and realizing that you can be bummed out later, but right now you got to stay on it. But to help your partner, I think maybe some pat on the shoulder and let's go, and here we go. I had with my doubles partner in Santa Barbara, we used to kind of say something kind of similar to the song. We used to say, hey, let's just do this for our education. We're here, we're getting educated, getting a degree, and we're playing tennis. Let's keep this in perspective. So we would just say, let's do this for our degree, kind of thing. So yeah, to kind of have a team mantra can be helpful to get you out of that, the grip of the brain there. So
I think that's a good response, Jeff. Thanks. Hey, I want to take one more question because we have gone past the 30-minute mark here, and then I want to talk about this free download that you've got. It's a pre-match visualization exercise that you're going to guide us through. But Bill is asking, give us a 30-second definition of your sense of fearless and as it relates to tennis.
Really love that question. Thank you. I obviously have thought a lot about this, and fearless tennis. At times I've really struggled with that in a way, because fearless, frankly, we all feel. Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, although you'd argue Djokovic isn't feeling a lot of fear lately, but at times we all have those moments. I don't care who you are, how good you are, there are those moments, and it's really about the choice we make next. What's next? And I think fearless is about, while our brain, our body could be going south and wanting to cave in and back off and analyze everything and doubt the heck out of what we're doing, that we have a relationship with ourselves, a response to that moment, that where we choose our best self, we choose our best performing self, and we commit to the shot, we commit to the visual, and if we don't at 40-30, we do it the next game or the next point. We have a new opportunity every point to act in a fearless way and try to just the state that we like the best when we're at our best. So fearless is about feeling the fear and really, truly making a choice that serves us in our values of how we want to look at ourselves and our game, win or lose. And if we can do that, I think we're very much in the process. So,
Jeff, tell us about this, and I know you've got this free download for us. It's only good through today, and I'm just here at your website, mentaledge.net. This is the area down here where folks can go ahead and get not only your newsletter, but they can also get access to that pre-match visualization audio. Tell us a little bit about what's in that audio. Jeff, did I lose you? Okay. Let's see. What do we got going here? Jeff, I've lost you, so I'm going to go ahead and I shouldn't have lost you. All right. Well, sorry about that, guys. Jeff, if you do come out, in fact, what I'm going to do is I will unmute. I'll mute you one more time here. No. Okay. Well, high tech. Yeah, love it. I've lost Jeff, but at least we got. Maybe you can't hear me either. Okay. If you can hear my voice, first of all, apologize for the glitch. This is where you want to go right here to get a copy of Jeff's pre-match visualization audio. Go ahead, go there, excuse me, and pick it up. You want to get signed up right here. And then once you do that, I also want you to look at what Jeff's books, what he's got. He's got a couple of different books for sale. This one right here is really a tremendous book, The Best Tennis of Your Life. So guys, apologies for the audio failure here with Jeff, but I know that we got a lot of benefit, a lot of value out of what he was talking to us before we lost him. And
Brent, I'm here now. Can you hear me?
I got you back. Good man.
Yeah, let me just, and I just want to say, if I can, real quick, one thing about a Facebook page will be coming out in the next couple of days with also a free ebook download there that would summarize a lot of what we talked about today. I just want folks to have that as well, to go on over to my Facebook. I had never had one, so it's new to me, and I wanted to mention that, and that's really all for now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I encourage everyone to go ahead and get signed up for Jeff's newsletter, along with getting this pre-match audio. According to this, Jeff, it's going to expire at the end of today, August 25th. So, guys, get out there. And then, if you've got any further questions or comments, feedback, go ahead and go over to webtennis.com/players. And this second post here is Jeff's right there. And would love to hear from you. And yeah, so Jeff, any parting words of wisdom for us?
I just want to, this was my first webinar, and so it's kind of funny, looking at a screen and talking, and it's hard to imagine that there's a number of folks out there, and I really enjoyed this opportunity, and I hope we can have a dialogue. If you sign up on my newsletter, we can share more thoughts and tricks and things as we go along in the game, and to just really truly be honest and true to yourself and play the way you want to play. So,
well, listen again, Jeff. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today. You've really done a tremendous body of work for so many years in this area of tennis, which is clearly a tough area to teach, and you figured out a way to do it. So, Jeff, thanks again for spending some time with us. And guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you for being with me today. Have a great rest of the day wherever you are, and we will talk again soon.